The testimony is distressing.
Sparking all sorts of outrage. Here's ABC's Lindsay Davis.
In just 10 hours, Shoshana Roberts cut PSA more than 100 times. Harassment she
can't lead. Women can't win. They will always be outsmarted and outmuscled.
Gender inequality refers to disparate freedoms in some ambits between women and men. There's discrimination on the basis of sex, causing one sex to be prioritized over another sex. Gender equality should be a fundamental right, but principally in Mexico, that right is violated. And many Mexicans promote the gender-based discrimination. As women, we can all tell that we have lived through at least one injustice, an abuse from part of men, or harassment without being able to defend ourselves properly because we don't have someone to defend us or give priority to what happens. Research data, statistics, and information about this issue, giving context and arguments of its magnitude and why this is a challenge. A woman is human. She's not better, wiser, stronger, more intelligent, more creative, or more responsible than a man. Likewise, she is never less. Equality is a given. A woman is a human. By Vera Nazarian. Gender inequality in Mexico is considered a challenge that needs to be ended because it's a problem that has been maintained since a long time ago and hasn't ended totally. There have been movements that have given more rights to women, but it has been very difficult to change the perspective some have of women in Mexico in many ambits, including political and laboral ambits. Gender inequality between men and women has existed since the Neolithic period and has been developing through the years, but many people have started movements to try to stop this problem. Getting rid of gender inequality is a real challenge because we have a macho culture in Mexico. It is not only the job of the government to get rid of this inequality, it is also the job of society to get rid of it, but it's not easy because for years many people have educated their children to see women as the ones that should work for men, as the ones that should be in charge of all the chores at home. So it's not easy to change that quick, the idea that some have implemented or of how should women be seen. Some have been educated to see women as the weak gender since they were little, and that idea has passed through generations. In Mexico, there are many obstacles to achieving gender equality between men and women and ending violence against them. It will take a long time to end it, but we can start helping to solve this problem. Gender inequality is a big problem because it opens a pathway to feminicides to occur. The murder of women occurs only for reasons of gender, and that is very serious violence causing small girls to be affected as well. Gender inequality affects all women regardless of economic or social location. The government announced that the 10 municipalities with the highest number of feminicides are Monterrey, Culiacán, Ciudad Juárez, Xalapa, Guadalajara, Centro, Coatzacoalcos, Iztapalapa, San Luis Potosí, and Nogales. According to that data from the Executive Secretariat of the National Public Security System, in 2017, there were 766 feminicides, increasing in 2019 with 748 more victims. According to the findings report, impunity for certain crimes affects women more. They suffer more violations of their rights compared to the rights of men. Mexico lacks public policies to properly address violence against women. It should be noted that 96.4% of rapes committed against women and that were denounced weren't unpunished. Analysis had been carried out and it has been verified that women are isolated from their arrest more than men in Mexico. Analysis of the issue from the geocultural point of view using all the elements and concepts reviewed in class: places, traces, belief systems, dominant and resistant powers, power dynamics, ethnicity, sense of place, gender, etc. Some of the geocultural elements related to the challenge of ending gender inequality in Mexico are, in the first instance, that culture brings limits as well as resistance to the attempt at gender equality. Culture is used as an instrument to avoid change, breaking the capacity of this adaptation and effectiveness to promote positive social transformations. There is a relationship between the problem and the culture since we have a macho culture blocking the way to justice for women. When women join areas of work and politics, it is seen as something inefficient. Mostly, it is seen that way by many men who are called macho. Many receive less salary, suffer abuse, or are discriminated against in their work area. Since Mexico is a country where machismo is very present in various fields, and speaking of power, we do not see many women in charge in Mexico. Gender inequality entails gender stereotypes, shared beliefs within our culture about what men and women have. There are conceptions about how each sex should behave. Gender inequality is a social phenomenon and that will lead to gender discrimination. It occurs when men have more privileges than women, violating women's rights. We can see the problem that it is being talked about through domestic abuse. Women spend 2.5 times more time than men on houseworks or spending time with their children. Gender inequality is applied in this case since many have the idea that household chores should be carried out by women. This type of case gives rise to inequalities in the workplace, giving women a different salary and maternity discrimination is implemented. Gender inequality takes place in many places, opening the way for gender violence to occur in public spaces such as streets, private spaces, workplaces, and in homes. Figures from the National Survey on the Dynamics of Relationships in Homes by the INEGI say that in 2016, the majority of women who received discrimination or violence were provoked by their boyfriends, husbands, or partners. 21% of women in 2016 suffered economic violence.